Yeah, there we go. Oh. So actually, I've got my questions over there. Can you just slip me them? That paper, lovely.
Sweet.
Oh, actually, can you just look where I am now?
Yeah.
Oh. There you go, that should do it.
You just have to not knock it.
Yeah, just have to be quite careful. Oh, okay, that should do it. So, like, how does it feel to you to be up and active again? Because obviously you're out of action for such a long time. So when you first stepped back inside the gym and doing what you love, you know, after you went through all that grueling kind of physiotherapy, like what were the feelings going through your head then?
To be honest, bit of anxiety and just because of the abilities at the level that I was at before, and I was very nervous about what I was able and unable to do. Obviously anything like I'm unable to do is I'll crack on and give it a go again, and give everything to kind of get it back. But yeah, it was just more nervousness because I wanted to do well. Yeah.
And was there any feelings of jubilation? You know, once you realised that, oh, you know, I could finally do this again. You know, because I know you had anxiety and nervousness to get back doing it, but were you looking forward to it as well? Because, you know, you've been immobilised for such a long time.
Yeah.
You know, especially for you because you used to be so active.
To be honest, the only thing I've kind of had a jubilation about was the backflip on the trampoline. Everything else has been a hard graft, and I'm nowhere near the end of anything that I'm training for at the moment. So, again, like any uni degree, it's putting the work in, and when you've finally done what you came to do, that's when you can celebrate. I don't feel like I'm anywhere near there at the moment, and I'm still deep in the journey. I'm miles away from any milestones that I've set myself, so it's at the moment I'm just kind of plodding on and trying to put the work in.
And what are you training for? Because I saw that you got invited to a a kind of tournament in America.
Well, it's called USA Warrior Week, and it's ex-service personnel that have either been injured whilst serving or after. We're all kind of getting together for 10 days in Virginia Beach, in America, and just having a good time. Exercise tests and but like fun stuff, so like who can do the most pull-ups and be skydiving, kayaking, fishing, just a whole week of all different sports and activities, just so we can kind of speak to people who have gone through the same trauma that we have, but obviously being ex-service personnel, you've got the banter that goes along with that as well. Ex-forces tend to have a very almost like cheeky attitude towards limb loss. We tend to take the mick out of each other even more. We're not kind of we don't hold ourselves back from calling somebody like stumpy or to be honest, it doesn't matter. We can insult each other and we'll take it on the chin. Do you know what I mean? We're not snowflakes, as the term was.
Snowflakes. Yeah, it's Yeah, it's that sort of ex-serviceman camaraderie, isn't it? Yeah, is it refreshing to have that attitude? Because there must be so many people around you that kind of pussyfoot and try and act overly sensitive when there's no real need to be.
So there's me and one of the guys I met through the charity, bless him. He's got a spinal injury, so he's in a wheelchair. And we were talking about the couple of times he's fallen out of his wheelchair in like a public setting, and the amount of people that run over and think, oh my God, there's a guy that's in a wheelchair and he's out of the wheelchair. It's almost as if like a fish out of water and you want to throw him back in really, really quick.
Yeah.
But he's just lying on the floor going, it's okay, it's fine, it happens. Just give me a second, I'll get myself kind of back up into it. He can do it himself, do you know what I mean? It's not as if he's completely in a vegetative state where the only thing he can do is look and move his head and talk, do you know what I mean? So he gets himself up and about. The thing with people with a disability is, especially as service personnel, is they're more than capable. So it's almost comedic when we see people panic if something that they consider to be devastating has happened, falling over, losing your leg, or what, you know what I mean, like something happening to a prosthetic. They almost overdo their kindness, and either that or they just look and bypass you and couldn't care less.
Yeah. Or just some people try and keep their head down as to maybe not announce the fact that they've noticed.
Yeah, massively. So that it's almost like homelessness. You either get the people who will go in somewhere, buy a coffee, will buy an extra coffee, walk outside, give it to a homeless person they want me, or 99% of the people will just, they don't want to see. They walk past and, but I think it's because it's so out of their comfort zone, and they don't know how to come out of their shell and kind of address the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is out of their comfort zone, they're not interested at all. They'd rather keep to their bubble and have a steady line going forwards with no interruptions. Especially
in this day and age as well, because there's a real phenomenon of just desperately trying not to offend anybody.
Yeah.
And I think some people feel like homeless people as well, that they'd be quite easy to offend, so they just try and avoid it altogether. In case they say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing.
Well, that's heightened because of how perceptive of people are of other people's feelings. It's almost, I mean, you can act off your own attitude towards it. If you're not massively offended by something, that's probably going to be the average reaction. So if you do, if you're either more sensitive or more insensitive, slightly on either side, you're probably going to hit it within the realm anyway.
Yeah.
So that's what I tend to go off of, but in the majority of cases, I could care less if you're offended. I'm a big believer of you choose how you feel. So if somebody comes up to you and goes, what you've really said is really annoyed me, well, you've chosen to be annoyed by what I've said, so that's 100% down to you. I have no responsibility for your feelings. You choose how you feel. You want to be happy, choose to be happy. You don't go, oh my God, you've made me really happy, I feel really happy. So yeah, I don't believe that you're in control of anyone's feelings. It's not down to you to make that decision. If that was true, then I'd be in charge of everyone's feelings. Every single person I met. And that's just, it's too much. No one can do that.
So, you've been sharing your exploits in the gym on social media. Are you doing this to inspire other people in your position, or is it kind of just a hobby?
At the moment, when it comes to, because I consider myself to be at such a low level when it comes to physical training, so going to the gym and training strength or endurance and things like that. At the moment, it's kind of, because I'm at such a low level, there's nothing that I would consider to be inspiring. Mainly, if you look at it from the sense that how short of a time the accident's been to now, in terms of inspiration, maybe. Again, it's a matter of opinion, but when it comes to the gymnastics side of stuff, and doing the backflips and the cartwheels and all that kind of stuff, because for me it's still very, very basic compared to what I used to be able to do. But now that I'm doing the backflips, I would if I've already had amputees message me on Instagram and Facebook and stuff about it, because they've been amped for like 10 years and I haven't even considered doing anything like that, even just basic trampolining. So if it can get them on the bed, I know how good trampolining is for you, so if they can manage to get themselves on a bed and do a few bounces, then great.
And looking back, about 6 months ago, you were still unable to walk. I think that's the last time we spoke. Actually, it was about 6 months ago. And did you think you'd be where you are now back then, at this point?
In all honesty, no. And I beat myself up quite a lot about it, to be honest, because I sit here now and I'm like, oh, my new leg's not going to arrive in time for something, and I can't really, because I'm such an impatient person, I want to be able to do everything now. So when I can't, that's then the realisation of how little I can do. But I take it completely out of context every single time and have to kind of ground myself again because of what I couldn't do a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it has to be relative. So like a month ago when I was bouncing on the trampoline, I could bounce this high. Now I can bounce this high. But I only realised that after a time. So like, and that if taking everything into consideration, the month afterwards, I'm so much stronger, but it only comes to a certain point where I realise that I am stronger. But obviously, because it's so progressive, you don't realise. It's like when it comes to your birthday and people are like, do you feel older? You're like, well, no, because I haven't jumped from 27 to 28. I've done 365 days of growing in that time. So there's no, again, milestones. If you've got the milestones, you go, okay, well, I've done nothing this year. I've wasted a year, whatever. Then yeah, you probably do feel older because it's 1 year down and you haven't achieved anything.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. So if I've hit my milestones in the time, then I can see I'm doing okay. Do you know what I mean? That's like my backflip. So I think last time we spoke that I said I wanted to be able to do a backflip on New Year's Eve, on the ground. And that was going to be my almost like 1 year challenge, and I've landed my first backflip on the trampoline in March.
So you smash that.
If I can do something like that every 3 months, I should be right on track to get it. So, and the strength that I've seen within this month, especially through my legs, has been vast. I wouldn't say that I was strong enough to do it now. I'm nowhere near, but from how weak I was last month to not so weak this month, then I'm doing all right.
So it's about just getting progressively less weak.
Pretty much, yeah. Because I was quite a strong lad before the accident. Because of all the impact that I used to take on my legs and jumping and all the explosive power, I had really big quads. That's where I used to get the majority of my power from. So now that I remember, I've got a picture of myself stood just here when I first came home from hospital on the beds in the dining room, and I just said to my mum and dad, take a picture of me because this is what I look like after I've lost like 2.5, 3 stone from hospital, and I was a weed, and that's almost, I look at it every now and again just to give me a little bit of inspiration about how far I've come, give me a bit of perspective again, because of how bad I was. I don't even realise, lying in a hospital bed back then to now, it's a massive contrast.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, do you think other people could do what you've done in such a short amount of time? Or does it take that kind of special amount of resilience?
There's nothing special about me at all. But it's my attitude towards it. So obviously you've got your good days and your bad days, and I wouldn't consider my bad days to be necessarily that bad. But again, it's black and white to me. So if I have a bad day, it's a bad day, whether it's a little cry or a waste of a day. So it's learning to dig myself out of that. I can change my attitude towards it very quickly. So just go, you need to change your attitude, flip it on the positive side, and just carry on again. And that's what I do. I put blinkers on, I go, oh, that was shit. Blinkers on, wipe my eyes, right, let's crack on again. And I'm very quick to do that, because I recognise that I'm almost stumbling back a little bit, and I catch myself and go, no, come on, keep walking forwards. And that's how it feels every single time. So it's only literally positive attitude. Just make sure it goes forwards, and you're happy now. Yeah.
Well, actually, tell me about what was it like landing that backflip? Like, what was the immediate feeling you got?
To be honest, I never, even though I've set my goals to land the backflip outside, I never really thought I'd do one ever again. So I remember the feeling of being in the hospital bed and thinking that my life was pretty much over. I'd never do anything athletic in the future. So I say that was the only time I felt any joy or jubilation. But it also surprised me, because when I stood there, it was just a random Thursday. I kind of had it in the back of my mind that I wanted to do it, but I was tired. I'd walked quite far that day. I think I'm trying to build up to my 10,000 steps a day, so I think I'd done like 7,000 steps that day, which is it's double what I usually do. So I was quite tired anyway, and I thought I'd just go up.
Oopsie daisy.
I thought I'd just go up. I'll probably just leave it for a second.
Yeah, just pause it for a little minute. You won't walk past this now, because we thought saying that, so he'll run past it. Hello.
Go on, Joe. Good boy. On your bed. I just don't want him clapping either. Good boy. On your bed. Yeah. So let's just say he'll come over.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
See, usually when I do that to my dog, it kind of just goes. No.
any prompt for attention. Isn't it? Hey. What is it? You or me?
You. The tough ones, bless them.
Feels like medical records.
Go on, in your bed. In your bed. Go on, good lad.
Go on.
Go on.
Back up, back up, back up. So where were we? Do you want to ask me the question again?
Oh yeah, we were talking about the talking about your feeling after you finally accomplished the backflip.
Right. So yeah, that's the only time I've really felt any jubilation or joy. Joe! Knock your head off.
Joe, go on.
Go on your bed.
It's gonna be fun to watch in the editing process later.
Good boy. Yes, it's the only time I've really felt any joy or jubilation. I say it was an average Thursday. I was quite tired. I'd done quite a lot of steps that day. It was probably double what I'd usually do. And I thought I'd just put myself in the situation and see how I reacted to it. So I'd set the mat up on the trampoline, and I'd had a little look at it. I hadn't really done anything at that point, and then one of the lads that I've known for like 15 years, used to train with Ryan, came up and just asked what I was doing. I was like, well, I had in the back of my head that I want to get my back summy on trampoline. He's like, well, just do it then. So I stood on the bed with the mat just behind my legs, and looked over my shoulder, and just had this realisation that, like, all I've got to do is go from here to there, and even if I cheated it, my legs have only got to get to there, and it felt really direct, and that there was no fear or any interference at all between doing the movement, and everything in my body was telling me that this is going to be easier than you think. But then, because I've had that before and sprained my ankle, I had to kind of just check myself, because of the leg, everything in my brain's telling me that you've done this before, so why is it any different? But because of how the power is produced, I need to check myself, because it just Jesus. I need to check myself just because my body has to remind my brain that it's not the same as before and you need to be careful. But I don't have any fear, so I've got nothing to initiate that stability check to go, just take it easy. You don't need to do it like this, or you know what I mean. So if I was stood on the end of the bed and I was like, no, it'll be fine. I trust this one. Let's just do it. I don't need to rely completely on my legs because I'm on a trampoline. That's going to give me the power to get over. And I just did it and landed, and I think my reaction was based on how easy it felt, because when I landed, I was expecting to have maybe a little bit of shock through this, or a bit of pain, just something, and I landed, and nothing at all. I landed, it was like any other backflip. So I think my reaction was pure surprise at how easy it felt, and what the possibilities now are going forwards, because that was a massive milestone. I'd led up to that for the past like 2-3 months, doing little bits and pieces, building up the process on how to do the backflip again as if I'd never done one before, and that's what taught me to go back to basics and do the processes, because of my initial attempt into a foam pit and spraining my ankle in the foam pit and how weak I was. So, but again, that was because I stood on the edge and everything in my brain told me that, no, this feels good, muscle memory feels good, let's just go for it. I got round, but I had no concept of where I was in the air. So I didn't know where the floor, the ceiling was, my rotation.
Ooh.
Just decline that.
Hang on.
Just decline it.
Yeah. How do you decline it again? Oh. So I haven't got this phone.
Let's have a look.
You were saying?
Yeah, so I had no concept of where I was in the air. So as I came round, my foot was down. Instead of being up to absorb the impact, it was still, for some reason it was down. I've never done a backflip like that in my life. And I landed, and just my body kept going backwards when my feet was straight. So it just popped like. I was quite worried at the time because of where the rod was situated in my tib. Obviously it's going to be there for the rest of my life, but the reason why it sprained is because when I had the rods on, it had immobilised my ankle, so it stiffened up for 5 weeks. So that was the reason why it gave, and it sprained, because there was no give anymore. So yeah, I think my initial reaction was just because of what I now knew. New things are coming to the realm of possibilities, and I was excited to be able to try new stuff. That was my reaction, I think. Yeah.
So what's the next milestone now? Is it a double backflip, a triple backflip? 100 metres then a backflip.
Well,
What was it?
So, again, everything's progressive. So, when I was learning to do the backflip on the trampoline, I'd gone through all the motions of how to do that from a beginner's point of view. So that would be like learning to jump up and land on my back, but develop the strength and the technique to get the height to do one first.
Yeah.
So again, height, tick. Rotation, tick. Landing, tick. They're your 3 big ones. But knowing where you are in the air for your rotation is a massive one. Because you'll know if you're high enough or if you're not high enough, what to do about it. How to land safely if you know you're not going to get round. Obviously that now is just different circumstances, because how do I safely land on this without landing on my feet? On your bed. On your bed.
Oh.
Go on, Joe.
He's just definitely enjoying it, isn't he?
Honestly. He's just the most needy dog in the world, man.
Oh,
Aren't you?
I was like, don't touch the phone, because it's like perfectly balanced at the moment. Hey.
Go on, boy.
Go on. Go on your bed. Joe. Joe. Bed.
I love his collar. This little Union Jack kind of medallion thing just dangling down.
Go on. On your bed.
He'll go, lie down.
He's sort of looking at the corner like, why?
Yeah.
Go out.
Yeah, so the next thing I've kind of set my sights on is, again, because everything's progression, because I landed the back somersault on a mat. Now I'll take the mat away. Still do it on the trampoline, but land on the mat. Just wait a second.
Oh.
So then after that, I then take it to what we call the fast track, which is like a trampoline, except it's longer and it's not quite as springy. Everything is kind of putting more and more pressure onto me to produce the technique and the power myself. So all we're doing is just gradually limiting the aids that I have to help me be able to get up and get round and land softly. So it's all going to teach me how to land softer, to go higher and to rotate faster. So again, that's the progression. The only thing I'll probably will try a few other flips and bits and pieces to help me along the way. Usually I do get quite sidetracked because I just want to try new stuff as well. So a side flip is probably on the cards and a front flip. Again, we'll keep it to single flips for the moment. One of my favourite tricks to do was back somersault with twist. So, back somersault with a double twist, that was one of my favourite moves, but if I can get the single twist first on the trampoline, I'll be made up. So that's probably, hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
And what would you say to other people in your position if you could? Because I know you've just said that you talk to a lot of other amputees on social media. But you know, if there was someone who was basically just given up mentally because of their condition, what would you say to them in a way to kind of motivate them again to just crack on with it?
There's nothing you can really say to anybody in that position. You can only really... It's a difficult one because I've known a couple of people like that who are... that they're almost a pit. And anything you kind of put into them just kind of goes in and goes out because they're, like I said before, they're in charge of that. They've made that choice to feel like that. They may not know it, but that's how they've reacted to it. Someone like that needs... I say I'd surround myself with people that are like me. So if I was the person that was not quite feeling it, I'm quite negative, you need to make that choice to surround yourself with people who are positive and make be what's the word I'm looking for? Be perceptive of how you come across things. One of the big things is just say yes. Yes is positive, so just say yes to stuff, even if you've got to back out like halfway through or whatever, or before it happens, you've made the steps to get there. So it's providing you continue to make positive steps towards it and to reach that goal, then great. Providing you don't say yes to something and then cancel and make a habit of that. Just surround yourself with positive people. I said I find it's a difficult one because I'm not sure I don't suffer negative people lightly, because I'll emulate that emotion very quickly and I'll start developing those negative feelings. That's what I mean. I've got to snap myself out of it and go, no, come on, let's keep looking forwards. So as much as I'd like to help somebody in that position, I don't think I'd have the strength to do it continually.
Yeah. You think
Right.
it would...
Can I just interject? I think because you chose to have your leg off,
Yeah.
it makes a difference to the sort of person you are and how you overcome other stuff. Whereas the likes of Sean, who had no option, he was a lad that was in hospital with Matthew, bike crash, and he had to have his leg amputated, and he didn't deal with it very well at all. And I think because it was your decision, showed how strong you were to start off with, but
I never felt like anything was out of my control.
yeah,
I've always
you
had
were
the
always
the
in
decision.
control. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a hell of a difference
Yeah.
to what you're doing now. Sorry.
That's fine. It's a great interjection, to be fair.
Yeah, so when I was in hospital, so every time they do a procedure or they're thinking about doing something, whether it's going to be changing medication or, I always had the final say, and I never really felt like anyone was against me. The only time that's a bit of a grey area is when, which to be honest they were just edging on the side of caution, was when I wanted to amputate it. So from day one, and they showed me the x-rays, and the doctor came in and said, do you want me to sugarcoat it or do you want the full hit? I said, I'm ex-forces, just give me the full hit. He said, there's a potential you might lose your right leg. I think as soon as he says that, I was like, okay, let's just get it over and done with then. Even now, when I look back at it, I never once looked down and went, like, almost made my peace with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like my leg going, like, I'm never gonna see you again. This is my foot, because I don't know. I was so disconnected from it. I was like, it's broken. Get rid of it. Any other person would be like, I miss my right foot so much. I do and I don't. I do because obviously it's a part of me that a big chunk of me that I'll never see ever again, because it's in the incinerator, it's in the sky now, so I'm never going to see it again. But then the other half of me is not really that bothered. And that's why I think I struggle when people are like, oh, you're an inspiration, because I've had the hard times, the hard days, but when I look back at it, the majority of it I've kind of coped with. Yeah.
And say so. Does it come down to having the choice? Like, is that the sole reason you're better mentally prepared for it, or like you say, you know, because you made your peace with it and you made the choice to have it done. Like, does that automatically make it easier for you to cope with it rather than someone who just wakes up and goes, oh, I've not got a leg anymore?
It probably does, but only through what I've seen and experienced. Obviously, before everything happened, I wouldn't have been able to tell you any different. But I think it's the element of control, because everything was my decision. To go out on the bike was my decision. To ignore the feelings I had that day, to just go home, was my decision. And then I'd say almost to crash was my decision, really. If you think about it, it was, the year that kind of led up to that. But that's how I'll always live. I'll always live on those boundaries, because I don't want to get to the end of my life and look back and go, could have probably, well, to be fair, I probably will get to the end of my life and go, could have done that differently, couldn't I? Could have not gone on the bike and I'd still have my foot left. But that's how I always rode. That's how I always rode, right on the edge of my limit, because I'm always trying to test myself. Life's not worth living for me if I'm not on the edge. That's my natural equilibrium. That's where I'm happiest, when I'm out my comfort zone and things are changing. I love change. I don't know why. It's new experiences, all constantly. So that's why I kind of embraced this even more than I probably should have, because it's change and it's a new challenge. So it's almost like the universe was telling me, your life's a little bit too easy, mate. We'll give you a bit of reality check and see how you cope with this one. And the majority of the time I'm coping. So please don't take my other leg.
So yeah, so I sprained my ankle the other day because I attempted a Rabona in my yard.
Rabona?
Yeah, it's like it's a footballing trick. It's when
the ball goes over your leg or something. Is it that one? Or?
It's when you go onto your right leg, your standing leg, and you it's hard to describe actually. You basically twist your other leg round the standing leg, and punt the ball.
When you come behind and go like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and you rolled your left ankle.
Yeah. These. It just comes out of nowhere, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Because I know it's a poor example compared to yours, but it does kind of just come out of nowhere when you least expect it. Even though I know that you say you kind of had a sixth sense about what was going to happen.
But that's now so everyday stuff like that you're like, I've done 1,000 times. Why would it be any different? That's what I'm struggling with most, is the normal day-to-day stuff. And I think that's why I love being out of my comfort zone so much, is because if I fail there, I've done more than the average person has. Whereas if I fail doing normal stuff, that's when it hits me hard, because I'm like, if I'm not capable to do the basics, that's when I feel inadequate. Whereas if I fail doing extreme stuff, it's a new level that not many people reach. So I'm almost fine failing there, because I've given it a go. Do you know what I mean? It's horrible to say, but I'm almost better anyway, better than myself. Do you know what I mean? Like I try not to compare myself to anybody, and I believe obviously nobody is better than anyone. But I compare myself, if I was to see myself as just a normal person doing everyday things, it'd kill me if I couldn't do the basics. So I think that's why I put myself into positions and situations that call for you to be extra,
mm-hmm.
to have something else, because everyone wants to stand out.
This is my last question now. Because you strive for excellence, like, do you feel like there should be more of a platform for amputees to achieve that excellence, in front of everybody? For example, should there be a kind of an amputee pro runner league, for example?
Well, there is. There's loads. There's loads of amputee stuff like that. Well, it's not necessarily amputee, but it's disability stuff. So there's like special gymnastics, Paralympics, the Invictus Games, paraclimbing. There's loads of stuff out there that amputees and disabled people can do. So from people with like a mild brain injury, whether they can't like smell or taste anything, they're technically disabled so they can compete. The only thing with disabled people is that they have different categories. So whether you're double amputee, single leg amputee, spinal injury, there's different levels of what you'll ever be able to achieve. Like a spinal injury person is not going to be able to run a marathon because they have no use of their legs, whereas somebody with like through knee amputations or above knee amputations can still run. They still can put their prosthetics on, their blades, and go for a run. It takes a lot to get there, and it does. The amount of people that have a disability, especially in amputation, but then want to do something with that is a very small percentage. So again, there's almost no, not need, but there's no market. Obviously everything in the world is money, so at the moment you can't get a blade on the NHS. There are a couple of back doors you can go through, but because everyone's like, oh, I've got an amputation, that means I'll get a blade. Doesn't happen. You need to show that you require one. So when I got my first foot, this first leg, they wanted to give me, even though this is massive, they wanted to give me a smaller socket and a better foot, because the first foot that they give you is a wooden block with a foot shell around it that looks like a foot. That's your first foot. There's no flex in the ankle at all or nothing, and this has got loads. It's carbon fiber fiberglass composite, so it's made out of the stuff you make aeroplane props and helicopter props out of. Wow. So it's flexible, but it's very strong and tensile as well. So it gives you quite a bit of feedback. This has been an amazing foot. It's just the socket now because my leg shrank, but I say everything comes down to money. So do you need it? If you don't need it, then they're not going to give it to you. It's as simple as that. So I'd like to think that I'm one of the few who would show that they require something like that. So whether one day I'll have the full blade, I don't know. Whether I'll have to fund that myself, I don't know. Because I want to push the boundaries in terms of what an amputee can do, especially with things like Ninja Warrior. If I can kind of get chummy with a design company that makes blades, I know there's a few out there that want to test their products. I kind of want to put myself in the place where I'm a prime candidate for that, because I know I'd test it, providing this leg holds up.
So do you think you can get into a, like, promise last one now, do you think you can get into a position one day where you're sort of an ambassador for brands like that?
Well, I do, and it's kind of the route I want to go down, even if it comes to, like, in terms of a job. I'd love to work with a charity like Blessmo, or whether that would be a prosthetic company. That'd be amazing to be an ambassador for them, and promote their products. Obviously, the way that I've gone down before with the free running and getting hired to do things like that, because with free running, because it's so versatile, you can use it to promote anything, beer, a new computer, because it shows pace, strength, flexibility. Those are all strengths that you can use, that you almost promote in your company anyway. So all you're doing is you're giving a visual aspect of that. So when it comes to the prosthesis side of it, if I can show clients what is capable of this foot, they're going to want to buy it, like the NHS. Whether there's a massive market for that, I don't know. But that's one that would ideally set me up for the rest of my life.
It's like, there's a lot of in social media as well, though. Like, especially on Instagram. Actually, apparently people can make, well, really huge people can make thousands of pounds off one post, and even smaller people with only about a few dozen thousand followers could earn hundreds of pounds a post. So if you were to get something like that, even with a smaller brand, of a private prosthetics, that would still be extremely beneficial for you.
Yeah, massively. It's building that following up. At the moment, I'm trying to, and I'd like to think that would ramp the more that I do stuff like the backflip. Everyone wants to see almost the impossible, and I think when it comes to stuff like that, the evidence is slowed down massively. But not the evidence, but everyone's ability is slowed down.
Thank you.
As I say, just lock them out. Yeah. We're almost done anyway, but I think it's like inventions. The rate of inventions is slowed down because we're at the top of the bell curve. So and I think that people are losing their creativity, and it's also being suppressed as well, quite a lot, just by the environment that we're in, especially the Western world. So I think if I was able to produce something that not many people have seen before, that would ramp my followers straight up, because obviously people want to see the impossible, and I want to challenge that, what people can do with one leg.
Fantastic, mate. Fantastic. I think that is perfect.